This free Qigong webinar originally aired March 29th, 2021. So welcome to Qigong Baduanjin. My name is Lucy, and for those of you who I haven't met, I have been practicing Tai Chi and Qigong, and martial arts really is what started it since 1984, and have found that it, I started it for just because it seemed interesting to me and I sort of liked the philosophy behind it. But I was amazed at the changes that it opened doors for me to take steps to those changes in my life. And so I just think Tai Chi and Qigong are incredible practices that I'm not even sure I know the lengths to which they can be used. So welcome. I want to start just by giving you a little bit of background on this style of Qigong. It is very well known, but there are many, many different flavors of it. And there are many, many different stories about it. So it's history like yoga and Tai Chi. There's just all of these different wonderful stories. And the one that I was told is that a general, we say general because that's what we're familiar with in our culture, but a general in the Chinese army, Yu Fei, created 12 movements. And he started teaching them to his troops that he was given. And he was given not, people who were not well off. And he really wanted them to be in better health. And if you can imagine being in a war and not having, the amount of fruit that you need a day and the vitamin C and all of this stuff. And they practiced these 12 movements, which he later, I think it was he who later pared down to about 8. And this is what Baduanjin is, or the 8 pieces of brocade. And brocade is like the finest material that you can drape on yourself. And so the 8 pieces of brocade are the finest things that you can put on and in your body. So what I'd like to do really with you guys is really just start. And if you want to do this seated, you're welcome. We're going to start with some warm-ups. If you want to do it standing, you're welcome to do that. I will tell you modifications for those who are seated. And just for some housekeeping, if you are not familiar with Zoom and you want my picture big so that you can see me, you can go to the upper right-hand corner and it says view up there, at least for mine. If you're on a phone or on an iPad, it might be different. But if you click on view, you can go to speaker view and that will bring me up large, and then you'll have a panel of the participants across the top. Okay, let me pop that out. All right, so I'm just going to bring my chair back here just for demonstration for those who choose to sit. The first thing that I want you to do is just begin to tap into your breath. And one of the things that I like doing is placing one hand on my low belly, one hand on my chest. And take a moment to just simply breathe. And I want you to notice the movement of your hands. Whether one hand moves more than another, whether both are moving, whether one rises and then the other one rises and then one falls and the other one does. This is your breath. It's unique. And it tells a lot to us. The breath really can educate us on how we are in the moment. So now that you've noticed this, I want you to just know that belly breathing, if you felt a rise and a fall with that lower hand on the lower belly, the lower Dantian, that's what we're looking for. It's not wrong to not feel that rise or fall. It's simply we're trying to get the diaphragm to lower down and the belly to relax and extend outward. And then as you exhale, it will come in. So it's breathing out, letting go and feeling it come in. But this is over time. You don't want to force the breath or make yourself do something. It's first step always is to just come into awareness, because your body is really intelligent and it knows how to let you breathe. And you've been doing it your whole life. So there's something to the pattern that you have. But just notice how this is in your body right now. And then I want to add a layer of intention to this. So now that you've noticed what rises and falls, and maybe you didn't feel much of anything, just allow that to be and let your hands just go down by your sides. And you can close your eyes for this part if you want, but I want you to tap into your breathing. And I want you to draw with that inhale the fragments of yourself that might be out in another conversation, might be out thinking about family or pets or work-related issues. And I want you to inhale and bring those fragments home. And as you exhale, almost like puzzle pieces, let them just kind of fall right into place wherever they belong. Just let them come home. So just inhale, bring that peace in that's part of you and your energy. Exhale, let it arrive. Inhale, bring it home. Exhale, let it settle in and arrive. As if you were greeting all of these fragments of energy. You are at your own front door, just letting them come in and letting them come home. As you reconnect with this energy, just notice how maybe the mind is quieted. As you pull yourself in and you're present in this moment, maybe the heart has moved a little more toward neutral. Maybe the body's just a little more relaxed. And as you've become more whole here, now just simply breathe. Let that rhythm talk to all of the other rhythms in the body. As the respiratory system leads that rhythm, let all of the other systems come in and find peace with it. Good. Okay. If your eyes are closed, just very slowly allow them to open, letting the light come to them so you're not searching at all. You're just present here with whatever is. Good. And if you find you are a little more at peace, you are a little more present, then you have to give yourself a pat on the back or just some recognition that you did this, because it's difficult to really get into that quiet place, especially if you've had a really, really busy previous day, week, year, decade. So this breathing is essential in Qigong, mostly because in these arts, Qi a lot of times translates to breath. And it does give us an awful lot of life. The moment we miss our breath, we are in trouble. So we want to pay attention to the flow and get some information from it during our day, even when we notice, oh, I'm holding my breath, or I'm not breathing evenly. I'm breathing, holding, letting go, holding. Just being aware of that, not putting a good or bad or right or wrong on it, but just getting some information from our own bodies. So paying attention to the breath, and we use the breath in Qigong to create a nice flow within the movements. This doesn't happen right away. We don't automatically link the breath to the movements. This comes a little later on. First, we pay attention to the breath. Okay. I want to go into the posture and the body mechanics first, before we even go into warm-ups. And what we talk about in Tai Chi and Qigong is Wuji Posture. And Wuji Posture can be seated. You can do it seated or you can do it standing. But what it is it's the space that you create before you go into your practice. Wuji is the state of nothing, of neutral. So we want this to be as, quiet in the mind, neutral at the heart, comfortable in the body, so that the spirit can take its place and the Qi can flow. So I'm going to go over the standing posture first, and then we'll look at it seated. Standing, physically, we want our feet hip width apart. So where your hips are, you just kind of travel right down, and you should get into the middle of your foot from where those hip bones are. And sometimes we want to take a wider stance. I really want you to just feel what feels good for you. And if you're feeling like this is too narrow, I just want to go a little wider, go with what that internal voice is telling you. And if you want to go a little more narrow, just go into what's comfortable. Sometimes things shift along the way with practice. But generally speaking, feet hip width apart, your knees are going to be slightly bent. So there's a subtleness there. They're not locked and not straight. There's a micro bend there. And what happens is, what we're trying to do is to relax the low back. A lot of people have tension in the back, which tilts the hips forward. We want the hips to be neutral. And so we relax that low back, not by tucking and squeezing here, but by letting this go. And that's another thing. You're going to hear me repeat this a lot. That's going to take time. Things will happen. That's one of the places that people hold a lot of tension, and it's a big place where Qi gets stuck. So we want to just think about the tailbone being very heavy, dropping this down, and that automatically softens the knees. And that's what you want, is just that low back, nice and relaxed, those muscles letting go. And that creates an evenness in the hip so that you're not tipping forward, you're not tipping back, you're not tipping to one side or another. You're just very level. And as we move up, we want the hips just level and the shoulders aligned over the hips so that we're not leaning in any direction, whether it's forward, back, or to the sides. And I'm going to go back to my mantra. Everybody's structure is a little different. So you may have one shoulder that's down, and that's your structure for right now. You may see that change over time. So shoulders aligned over the hips, crown of the head is tethered to the sky. It's almost as if you feel this magnetic sensation that just draws you up. Like the sky has the other pole, and it's like you've got the North Pole magnet facing up toward the south or vice versa, and you just feel this sensation of lifting. So where is this crown of the head? If you take your fingers and you touch the tips of your ears, very top of your ear, on both sides, and you draw straight up and have them meet, that's the crown of the head. Look at where it is here on me. It's not the front here, it's a lot more toward the back. And so when we think about that being the highest point, we're not trying to shove it up there. We're just trying to make sure that we're not bringing the chin out. And that's another way of kind of testing this. If you take your fist and you place it on your chest, you'll take one thumb to a clavicle and the pinky to a clavicle, and the index finger just comes up. And if you can touch the bottom of your chin, that generally is in a good ballpark. That's a good ballpark figure because you know that you're not coming way up. If you can't reach your chin, you know to bring it down. If your finger is in front of your chin, then you know to just bring it up lightly. So that's another way, drawing the lines or touching the chin. Two ways to get that structure. And you can feel it too. You can kind of feel when your head is up forward. What we're trying to do is get as much length and alignment in the spine as we can to create some nice openness and relaxation there. Okay, so let's go through that Wuji posture again from the top down. Crown of the head is the highest point. Shoulders drop and relax, and they're level, aligned over the hips. The hips are level. The knees are slightly bent with a nice micro bend, and the feet are hip width apart. You can get this same structure simply by sitting down. It's exactly the same, but you want your feet underneath your knees. And you want a chair that isn't going to bring you way up high and cut off your circulation here, or too low and make your knees come up high. But you want to sit away from the chair, feel your sit bones, those tuberosities at the bottom of your hips and your pelvis, and just simply align the shoulders over the hips. Crown of the head is the highest point. So either way, seated or standing, you can do these movements and you can do these Wuji posture. All right. Let's start with some warm-ups, okay? Now, some of these warm-ups may seem familiar to you, and some may seem odd if you haven't done Qigong before. They're very gentle. And we begin simply by stimulating and warming up and massaging the hands. So I'm going to come in close just so you can see. The reason we do the hands is the hands do everything, and we just want to get them warmed up. I like to massage between the long bones in the back of the hand, both sides. I do like to take my thumb and massage around the palm of the hand, again, both sides. If you have arthritis, you want to go easy and just gently. And then we massage each finger. We come to the base of the thumb and massage all the way down the sides, and make sure you get the sides of the nail beds right at the base, right at the base of the nail bed, both sides, on each one. And there are reasons to all of this. The reason for the massaging of the base of the nail beds is because there are meridians that link right to those bases on both sides for yin and yang meridians in the arms. So meridians are basically streams that flow through the body carrying qi. almost like blood vessels. So, or veins, I'm sorry. So we go down each one, gently massage, and all we're doing is just very gently stimulating. Okay, so after we warm up the hands, we're gonna take the hands and warm up the lips by placing, we just like a peace sign, and we just rub across. You're not trying to resist too much, but you want to resist a little bit so you're not just, mushing the lips side to side. We're just rubbing and then switch hands. And I'm going to try to move my microphone away. That's it. Now pause and simply notice. You may notice some tingling sensation or, sort of a humming or however it feels in your body. That's just getting the blood flowing, blood and qi move together. And we have acupressure points all over the face, some right around the mouth. So we just do that. It's one of the many warm-ups that we do. And now we're going to go to the ears. The ears have acupressure points that lead everywhere in the body. And we're going to start at the top and just massage down. Down to the lobes, back up. You can get inside a little bit. And I like to take, again, that peace sign and come to the edges where the ear meets the head and just simply rub up and down. I don't know why, but do I hold tension in the base of my ear? Am I doing that? I don't know, but it's really nice. So this all gets this qi activated and moving in these subtle ways. All right, we've got another one that I want you to watch first, because if you do it with me, you won't be able to hear me. This is called beating the heavenly drum. And the palm of your hand is going to go over your ears, but just watch this for a second. It's going to go over your ears, but what you're going to do is take your index finger on the outside of your middle finger, and you're going to do a little flick. So you can try that with me. Index finger on the back of the middle finger and just push that index finger through. Push, like it's a snap or a flick. And that drum that you're going to create is going to go back to the occiput behind your head. And you're going to flick there. But first, place your hands over your ears. Put your fingers back there with the index finger over the middle finger and flick. Slowly release and then just notice when you are really sealing the ears and you're hearing that, just notice the ears now. Good. It's really helpful for the inner ear, for clearing out stagnation when we do the heavenly drum. And it's not always that we give ourselves time to give some appreciation to the hearing that we have. So beating the heavenly drum. All right. So the next one we're going to do is called wash and comb. And I'm going to show it to you. Anybody with shoulder injuries, you can always do this much smaller. But the hands are in front and they open and separate. They come over the top of the head, around the back, and they come back to the beginning. So this wash and comb, what I want you to do as you're doing it is just think about the hands just cleansing all the thoughts away, any tension away, come back to center. As the hands come over, imagine them releasing even the muscles around the face and the head, easing the eyes as you come up and over. Imagine space, relaxation. Good. One more time, coming up and over. Breathing through, just washing everything in the head, taking the gray away. And then when coming back with your hands in front, just sort of notice the head. Notice what you've done, and just releasing any tension there. Good. So we begin after wash and comb to just notice the chi in the rest of the body. And we just begin with the left hand. I just start with my left hand on the back of the right arm. And we're going to go from the fingertips to the torso. From the fingertips to the torso. And this is just a brushing exercise that simply gets, the joints moving on the opposite arm, but it also is something that you have to sense in the body. You want to imagine the chi flowing from the fingertips to the torso, because this is the direction that energy on the back of the arm flows, which is the yang side. It flows from the fingertips to the body. And let's turn that hand over. And on the inside of the arm, we go from the shoulder past the fingertips. And this is the yin side of the arm, and this is the direction that the yin energy flows in the arm meridians. And we're simply paying attention again, what's happening on the inside, not just on the skin. Let's repeat that on the other side. So back of the arm, we go from the fingertips to the body. We bring our intention and our focus inside the body. Good. And then turn the palm over. The yin side is from the torso past the fingertips. Good. And then just let the arms relax down, simply noticing. Even maybe noticing the breathing too that you're doing. And then taking the hands, we're going to come to the back and we're going to brush down the back of the body and up the front of the body. Now, if you can't bend all the way forward and get the whole back of the leg, that's okay. Your intention is to go there. And so you may just come down and up, and that's perfectly fine. So coming down where it's comfortable for you and up the front, because this is where the energy flows, down the back of the body, up the front. The front of the body is all yin, the back is yang. And this is yin meridians flow up from the earth, yang meridians flow down from the sun. So let's begin now on the outside of the legs, which are also yang. So we go down the outside and up the inside. Down the outside and up the inside. Down the outside and to the inside. Good. And just take a moment now to just pause and simply notice. The last warm-up that we're going to do, there are many of these, but the last one we're going to do just for tonight is the first stage in circling the Dantian. So women always put the right hand on the Dantian first. Men always start with the left hand on the Dantian. So women right, men left first, and then cover the other hand on top. And we're going to simply go up the right side of the body, across, down the left. We're just going to take circles, 9 circles, and slowly make them bigger. And I'm counting in my head because I sometimes lose track. And then we return in the opposite direction from big to small. And then we pause there, simply noticing. Notice your hands. Notice the belly. Let the hands release down. Good. So we really work a lot with a Dantian. That is just the first phase of these circles. And it's as you go into a deeper practice, you feel what's happening inside the Dantian and with the energy that's cultivated there over time. Okay. I'm really excited to get to the movements, but I want to make sure that your spine, we're going to go through some spinal movements too, that really relate to the body structure and the body mechanics that we go through in the 8 brocade. So the spine moves in 6 different directions. And we're going to practice those now. What we're trying to do is get the spine as best as we can to just gently articulate every single bend as we come forward and gently back up again. And even to the sides, just gently bending over and then coming back, so that it's not how far you go, it's can I feel the spaces in between each vertebrae? Can I just kind of coax some space in there and get that the tendons and the ligaments to activate and not get stiff and dried up and become painful? So let's start with the forward. And what I want you to just begin with is that Wuji posture. So feet are hip width apart, knees are slightly bent. You're relaxing that low back so the pelvis is level, shoulders aligned over the hips, crown of the head is the highest point. And what we're going to do, it's like a waterfall over. So you don't want to just drop your chin, but you want to think about something there so that you're like an apple. Like we all carry an apple there, but whatever. An apple, and we just kind of round over it. And you want to feel, oh, there's the neck lengthening, and then the upper back, and the mid back, and the lower back. And you're not trying to get into the hips. Now you come back up. Now it's the low back comes up, the mid back comes up, the upper back, and then the neck. So let's just try that again. Again, we're not trying to make anything happen. We're just trying to get some length. And see if you can feel that string that's holding you up, kind of rounding you over to lengthen, and you feel the stretch at the neck. And then you can feel it at the upper back. And then it goes down into the mid back and the lower back. And then slowly, each vertebrae just kind of comes back up, stacking, lower, mid, upper, and then the head. Trying that again. Letting go. rounding forward. Feeling it slowly coming down as the hips try to stay where they are, and then slowly coming back up. As the shoulders align over the hips and the head comes above the shoulders. So that's what we're looking for is, oh, how can I just get a little more space in between those vertebrae? Now we're going to just simply go laterally, side to side. So again, we're in Wuji posture, but you're not looking to tip the hips. You're looking to just simply articulate in the spine, keeping the hips nice and level. Okay, so let's just try. The head comes over, and then the upper back and the shoulder starts relaxing down, mid back, and then we feel it here in the hip. And we slowly come up again, stacking those vertebrae. Head comes up, and we come over to the other side for another nice stretch. Gently coming over. And feeling an opening here, but keeping the hip low and the feet rooted. Coming back up to center. Let's try it one more time to each side. Letting the shoulders relax. Good. And you may find that you're even going just a couple centimeters over. You can do this seated, standing, back over to the other side, and just noticing those areas where it's like, oh, wow, I don't feel anything moving there so much. Maybe I've got some stiffness coming back up to center. And that's okay. That's all about that building awareness. So the spine rotates too. And this is the hardest part. So a lot of times people just want to turn as much as they can, and notice my knees are turning, my hips are turning. We don't want to crank on the spine. It's really, again, trying to keep the hips forward and slowly turning, feeling yourself rotate at the low back and then the mid back and then the upper back and then the neck, and let the neck look behind. And then release the neck. Release the upper back, the mid back as you're coming back to center, the low back. Try it to the other side. Now we start. Low back begins to turn. Now the middle back. Now the upper. Now the head. And now the head releases. And the upper back comes back to center, middle, lower. One more time to each side. Now we're back at the low and we turn to the opposite side, mid back, upper back, not cranking, looking back. And then coming back, releasing the low back to come back to center, middle, shoulders, head. One more time to the other side. Just simply noticing the rotation that we can do. And then coming back to center. Good. So we wake up the spine just by doing that a few times either way, and we just kind of notice. And we need that because when we're doing Baduanjin, we do a lot of spinal rotations and we're rolling up through the spine and just getting all of those meridians that run along the spine alive. And so many of them go through the neck. We have so much stagnation here. So those are the warm-ups that we do. I want to show you some acupressure points before we go into the very first movement of Baduanjin. Where you met your fingertips at the top of your head, that is called the Bahui. And it's on the Du channel, it's on the governing channel. And it's a really important point to remember as we begin to notice, chi flow in the body. The other two are on the palms of the hands. So when you close your hand just gently into a fist, where your middle finger and ring finger, the line between them, where that touches on your palm, if you open the palm, that point there is called the Laogong. And it's on the pericardium meridian, which is the heart, matches up with the heart. Pericardium is the little sac around the heart. So that is part of our fire element, and that's on both hands. So we're just sensing the palms. And then the other one is on the base of the feet. And with shoes on, not so easy to find, but it is very similar to the palm of the hand. Well, this was not as easy to do. So it's underneath the ball of the foot. I'm just going to take my shoe up. Underneath the ball of the foot, if you take a line from the second toe and the third toe and just go straight down, boom, over that ball, that's the Yunchuan point. It's kidney 1, and it's on both feet. And so I just want you to pay attention to those points. It's not anything that you have to massage or do anything with, but just simply pay attention to. When we're rooting down and we're sensing energy, we want to root down first by paying attention to that kidney point on the bottom of the feet. The hands are, all 5 of these points are great for drawing energy in and projecting energy out. So I want to show you the very first movement of this 8 series, okay? We are standing in Wuji Posture, and this is what the movement looks like. Okay, so you can see as we went through those spinal movements that what we're trying to do is articulate in the spine. Try it with me, feet hip width apart. I'm just showing you from the side so you can see how far I bend over. We're trying to articulate here, rounding forward. We lace the fingers together. Then we roll up the spine. The hands rotate at the heart, turn toward the sky as we gently extend the palms toward the sky. We root down into that Yunchuan point in the feet as the heels lift up off the floor. And then we lower them down. We turn to your left. I'm going to my left. You go to your left. Finding that nice articulation in the spine. Knees are still soft. Coming back up through center. And then over to the other side, rooting that opposite foot down, hips are level. Coming back up. And one more time, articulating forward. Hands come down, rounding. They rotate at the heart. And as you come to standing, the hands separate and float down to the sides. Let's try that a few times. This is called pressing 2 palms toward the heavens. Round forward. Lace the fingers. Draw them up, turning at the heart, pressing toward the sky. Now root down into the Yunchuan as the heels lift up. Lower the heels down. Bend to your left. Good. Come back up to center. Bend to your right. Come back up to center. Round forward. Turn the hands at the heart. Separate the hands as they float down. You rise up. Good. So it's a very simple movement, but we can add some intention to it and layers to it as we move through the practice. So one of the first things that I started noticing is allowing myself to get some balance in my life. And this movement was very helpful. If I think about yin energy from the earth, that grounding, stable, secure energy, and I think of the spark that I get from the sun, that yang, that brightness, that planning, let's go. If I can mix those and get a nice balance in myself with grounded direction, oh, how beautiful is that? So let's try it out. So as we come forward to lace the fingers, imagine just drawing grounded, rooted energy up, that yin energy that stabilizes us. Bring it into the body, turn at the heart, and let it come up through the crown of the head. Now root through the Yun Chuan. Feel your roots as your heels lift, gathering that sun energy in the hands, coming back down. Gently bending to one side and feeling that whole side opening up. Coming back up through center. It's like your hands are solar panels. And just imagine them gathering that yang energy. Bringing in some lightness to the body while you're rooted through the feet. And then bring that lightness down. Washing away any depression. As you turn the hands at the heart, roll up through the spine, let the hands release that yang energy out, down through the legs, through the feet. Let's try it again. Bringing that earth energy up, stability, strength, quietness, patience, turning at the heart, bringing it right through the crown of the head. And lifting the heels, pushing down into the Yun Chuan to gather with the hands that yang energy. Lower down. Bending over to the left as if you were just reaching around a cloud to gather a little more of that spark, brightness, coming back up through center. Over to the other side. Breathing it in. Coming back through center and just letting that positive energy coming down, wash through the head, feel it at the heart, feel that potential washing down through the legs as you roll up through the spine, coming to standing. Good. Thoughts and the yi and what you put into the movements have a lot of direction to qi and how it's going to flow in the body and what the body, how the body heals. This particular movement is really good for the kidneys. And so when we round forward, we're trying to create some of that openness for the kidneys to just find some room. As we bend to the side, it's like we're giving a massage to one kidney while the other kidney has this space and this room and this openness. And then as we bend to the other, then this one gets the massage and this one gets to float. So there are all different ways to really look at this and cultivate the practice into something that really benefits you. So we're coming on to about 20 minutes after 7. And I want to open it up for questions. I knew that we wouldn't be able to get through all of the movements, but you got a taste of what Baduanjin is like. And if you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and type them into the chat, and I can It looks like Alice has one. Are you hitting soft tissue or bone with that? Oh, Alice, did you mean when we were doing a brushing up? Whatever we're doing, whichever warm up you were looking at, we aren't doing it on the bone. It's soft tissue. It's just, if it is the brushing. Oh, it's this. Okay. Through that. No, it's the soft tissue underneath. It's the two little pockets underneath the back of the occiput, back of the head. Yeah. So we're drumming underneath there. Good question. The one we were flicking in the finger. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. The 8 movements are really geared, many of them, well, most of the time, it's geared toward really bringing some health to important organs in the body. And so that first one that we did is really focused on the kidneys. Kidneys are really super important when it comes to traditional Chinese medicine, because they hold our longevity. They hold the jing that is supposed to last us through our lives. So many of the movements hone in on taking care of them. They're the yin of the yin organs, and are so important to create some space around. If, you know, it's not that one is only doing that, though. These movements are so good in so many layers and places in our lives that touch on our emotions, our mentality, our physical body. It's everything. It's so holistic. It sees us as a whole person, not just as, I need to get this workout in. It goes so much deeper than that. That's why I love it so much. So, any other questions? I'm going to see if I can make sure you guys can unmute yourselves to ask questions. Okay, here we go. All right. So if you want to ask any questions, I am happy, and you can unmute yourselves and ask away. Oh, as a morning wake up, changes mindset. Yeah. As a morning wake up, to do this as a morning wake up, I got to tell you something. It really is the best time, as far as I'm concerned, to do these movements in the morning. And the reason is because a lot of times when you do them at night, you're just going to thank me for this. You got all kinds of energy, like, all right, it's night. Oh, I have to go to bed. So this is what it does. It gets the qi moving. So if you do want to stay up all night, do it really late, you'll be fine. But it's really nice to do it first thing in the morning, because it really is a replacement for that cup of coffee or tea or the caffeine that you might enjoy. Not that you shouldn't be drinking that either. I'm not judging anything. But yeah, it's a great morning practice. And I'm offering an online course in this. It's 6 weeks. It starts next Monday. And what I've done is I have an online course that has videos of all of these. And if you join my class, you will not just get the teaching class that we'll be meeting every Monday, but access to that online course, so that you know the movements. You can watch and do the movements through those videos that are there, and you'll see, I can show you, you can see what it all entails. The course itself has all 8 movements, It has history of those movements and why it is that you're doing them, what it's good for, why it's good for the kidneys. So let me just share the screen with you so you can see what I'm talking about. I think it's a little bit easier. So this is the class itself, and I'm just going to scroll down. There's history of it. Here are the basics. So you would get, while we're in the course, a look at the Dantians, a look at the Wuji Posture, the acupressure, breathing techniques, all of the warm-ups that we do, as well as the movements. The one we did today, press 2 palms to hold the sky. And along with presentations on what it is that these are for. Why are we doing this? So each one of these lessons or classes has a bunch of lessons within it. And then, you know, at the very end, you will be able to do the whole movements, all 8 movements, practicing them all together in a flow. So that's what the course is like along with the class. So you would have support during the week as well as just, you know, taking that Monday class. And how long would we have access to the online material? It would be for those 6 weeks. So you would be taking, you know, you would have access for that month and a half. Yeah. And just so it's helpful to have both the live sessions and the recorded sessions. The class for you guys is $90 for the 6 weeks. Because you tried it out and showing interest in it and put up with my lame jokes tonight. So it's $90 for you guys. That's going to change. It's going to go to the $120 at the end of on Thursday. So sitting in a chair would be okay or helpful. What? Yes, sitting in a chair is perfect. And I'm happy to demonstrate that. It is exactly the same. It's so much easier on your knees, especially when you're when you've got some real pain there. All right. So any other questions here? So we need to sign up by Wednesday. Yes. And I'm going to put the link. Let's see if I can put the link in here. Here is your link to the discounted price. It's in the chat. And if you're late, you know, and you get to me like Thursday morning and say, I just forgot, because it happens, just let me know. But I'll be taking the offer down Wednesday in the evening at the end of the day. I don't see the link posted. Oh, that's because it's somehow in the waiting room. It's waiting for you in the waiting room. There, I'll get out of the waiting room. There we go. Technology is fun. So it'll be posted there, and then I've got to go to the, you know, offer this to everybody else who's interested and make sure that they've got the right link too. So any other questions or curiosities? Oh, Melissa, you're very welcome. Thanks. So nice to have you guys here. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have. It's, you know, as I'm looking around, it's so good to see familiar faces and people I haven't seen for a long while because of COVID and all of the other things we've been through. I'm very grateful to see you guys here. The lame jokes are what I've missed most. That's great. Thank you, Trish. So how many weeks? It's 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So it starts April 5th and it goes to May 10th. The live class, the Zoom class. I shouldn't say live. It's live, but not in person. And that 6 weeks will go along with the course that is online, just so you know. So you got that support during the week. All right. Thank you guys very much. If you don't have any other questions, I'm going to let you have the rest of your evening. So nice to have you guys all. And traditionally, we close by holding the right hand in a fist and reminding ourselves that this is representing our personal power. The left hand always represents peace, and we always use peace over power. So we place our left hand over our right, and we bow to each other and say, xie xie, which is thank you in Mandarin Chinese. Nice, xie xie. Thank you guys very much. We'll see you next time.